trestle this late in the year, but we like to fish a lot of the rigs right out of the Wrigley's or Unknown Pass. But that Pearl River just keeps spiking up with all of these really, really big storm systems we have. And so the cleanest water's still in the lake. The trestle's still fairly decent. So we're going to stay here with it. There's a nice, beautiful speck right there. All right, well, we're going to start off fishing a trestle. Start off with the old tiger bait. That's what I had on last time out, as fishing the marshes on a real tough weather day. Catching several reds. If you got real tough weather, make sure to just go tuck in all the marshes off the Wrigley's, the Intercoastal. You go down towards Bybee Avenue. Just tuck in. Any little ditch has got potential for them smaller reds. You can jig them on the bottom. You can throw a popping cork. Popping corks are great for targeting reds in that early summertime. Throw a spinner bait if you want, but tough weather conditions, definitely look for those 16 to 18 inch reds. We're not really seeing much in the ponds sight fishing, as that's usually bigger reds, but the estuary is plagued with them little smaller reds. But we're still surprisingly got some fish on the bridges here. You know, the Pearl River has been really high this spring going into the summer, and that's why I have the tiger bait on, as it was dirty in the marsh the last time we went red fishing, and it's still tied on. So that's what I'm starting off here with in the lake. Now the water in the lake looks pretty good. You know, the Pearl's a pretty good distance away from the lake. So usually this time of year we're up in the rigs in Lake Bourne and really doing well there, but that Pearl's just got Lake Bourne all messed up. I haven't been getting any rig reports really yet, and when I am heading towards that way, I can see that the water's just off. Where this water looks fairly good. It's not uncommon to catch them on the trestle this late in the year. As you saw a few episodes before, you know, we made one little drift and some on the north end of the bridge, and it was a bunch of flounder. So we still have several fish hanging around out here right now, and it's still not a bad place to fish. Now in the summer, I really like the west side of the bridge. If I'm gonna fish it, falling tide or incoming, I like the west. Right now we got a nice beginning to an incoming tide, which is a good time to fish. Fishing at early morning hours. Got a moderate southeast wind, about 10 miles an hour. That makes it just right. And what we got here? Look at this little feller. Holy smokes. That's an aquarium trout right there. Look at that dude. He's like legitimately 5 inches. A matrix shad's 3 inches in its own, so I don't know what he was thinking. But they do have some nice trout lurking around here. We got some nice white trout hanging out here too. And still, there's plenty of fish. But like I was saying, when you get a nice moderate southeast wind, if it's calling for like a real slack tide, the southeast wind or east wind, it's going to help take an incoming tide and bring it in a little bit faster. So that's a good thing. Now, if the tide was trying to fall right now against the southeast wind and it was a light tide, it could bring it to like a screeching halt. We got white trout this time. So, little baby speck, now kind of a small white trout. But regardless, got fish hanging out here. Let's see if we can get some bigger ones. There we go. Another speckled belly. Getting a whole lot of bites. They got some white trout mixed in here too. So as I get into that early summer, I always favor the west side of the bridge no matter what. It seems like these summer trout school up better, and they'll get way off the bridge too. As you saw, that hook set was well off the initial cast. So just make sure you work that lure way back towards the boat, and don't be afraid to get the boat way off the bridge this time of year. Like when I lean back and that fish pulls me back. Feels like a decent fish. It's starting to shrink on me now. What we got? Oh, what we got there, pups? Another pretty trout. Another pretty trout. It's a nice little bite for this late in the year. Like I said, we're usually getting off the bridges this time of year. I'm using that tiger bait matrix. What we've been doing is, we've been getting a lot of weather for the late spring, early summer. A lot of winds, a lot of rain. And when we're fishing real windy days, we'll be going deep in the marsh, catching those 16 to 18 inch reds. There'll be plenty of. The marsh is pretty dirty, and that's a great dirty water bait. And that's what I had on last time I was in the marsh. So it's still tied on. Started off with the tiger bait. I'm going to use several different matrix today, but it's working good right now. Water looks pretty decent in the lake though. Old white trout. I've already caught several of these this morning. They chomping that tiger bait too. Pretty rare to see a bunch of white trout in the lake, but it does happen. And they're mixed in with the specks, making it pretty entertaining with all these bites. Another speck. Another speck. Get it right back out there. On a pretty good school right now. Simple. That hammer white trout. That's a good one there. I don't complain about whiteys when they're the size of specks. The knock on whiteys is if you're going to eat them, you want to eat them the day you catch them. That way that meat stays firm, but get a trout and the white trout are about the same size. Both are great eating fish, and they're mixed in together, making it almost every cast out here on the bridge right now. Golly, they got some fish in here. We had moved 10 pilings, and I can't even count the number of bites we've had between white trout and speckled trout, but it's a whole bunch of them. All right, whenever the crowds start getting bad on the trestle, one of the easiest things to do to get away from them and still continue to catch fish is just simply move to the Highway 11 bridge. A lot of times it's just as good, if not a little bit slower, but you pretty much have the whole thing to yourself. So it's a good little tip. Get away from the crowd. Just simply slide on the Highway 11. And another thing I wanted to show you guys is check out these new matrix shirts that we made. Got different options that goes on the back. Check them out at matrixshad.com. These are great little t-shirts that we just put on our website. Check it out at matrixshad.com. Let's get back to fishing. pretty one there, boy. Now this time of year is certainly not known for the big ones out here on the bridges. And there's a lot of little ones out here, and there's a lot of white trout out here, but this is about your cap size right here. You solid, right about a 2-pounder. That tiger bait's doing work today. I mean, it's a load the boat up type of day here. To be honest with you, it's probably the best, fastest bite I've had on the bridges this year. This is far from my favorite time of the year to fish it. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and end it right there. Caught buku speckled trout, buku white trout. I mean, it's almost a bite every single cast. It's a nice, pleasant surprise to have these fish still around this late in the year. I usually like to ride around, try some other things as we get into the summer, but came out to just do a little fun fishing. But when I saw it was every cast and they were eating up on that tiger bait, I had to flip the camera on and shoot another DockSide TV. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's a quick, easy one to make. Probably only made about 100 casts. Make sure to subscribe to the monthly bait box. Get one of my favorite matrix shads in there, the old trusty tiger bait. Great for dirty water. It's probably one of my favorite dirty water baits, especially if you fish the reds in the marsh. Make sure to get back, stick on the trestle. Get an early start as them temperatures starting to rise. Still got plenty of specks and white trout out here. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, guys. Got 50 million videos fishing these bridges. And I hope you enjoyed this one. And until next time, guys, good fishing.